if you do not know what Mythic tails are, they were made by Finfolk and discontinued, but they are silicone fins and they are made out of scales, which you can now still purchase, but you cannot get these full tails anymore. Unless, of course, you buy them secondhand, and they are running between like $2,000 to $3,000, sometimes even $4,000 for the ones with a bigger fluke, which I just do not have that kind of money saved up right now. So I came up with the grand idea to try to make my own Mythic tail out of a Finfolk Discovery tail, like regular fabric, and I'm going to sew all the scales on by hand. Some of those materials are in here. I did not order enough scales yet because my original idea was to just do like a partial Mythic, but then I'm like, why not just go all out? It's only a couple $100s more. They're absolutely beautiful. I won't have the silicone fin like the real Mythics. Maybe one day I'll be able to get one, but I feel like it's hopefully going to work. Anyway, let's open this up and I'll show you my base materials and kind of my plan for what I'm going to be doing. Okay, so the whole thing just kind of started because I wanted to upgrade my aerial look a little bit, and I found this tail because I'm not super in love with my fin fun one because the mono fin just stretches the fabric weird and makes it look funky. So I got this aerial colored tail, which that's actually really pretty by itself. So yeah, I think I'm gonna add the scales to this. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm going to start with my aerial scales. So I feel like those are a little bit darker, so I'm gonna do those on the bottom. Then I'm going to do a mix of every other one of the aerial and the mint. So mint is very similar, but it's a little bit lighter. And then I'm gonna do plain mint, and then I'm gonna do a mix of mint and pearl, and then I'm gonna do plain pearl. So it's kind of going to be like an ombre, dark green to like a mint green to like a whitish silver. This is not going to be enough scales to cover it. This is probably only gonna cover maybe, I don't know, a foot-ish. So I think extra small Mythics typically have 900 to 1,000 scales, so I am going to need to order some more. This is only about 250, and I'm gonna show you my map that I made to try to figure out how many of each scale that I need to kind of sew them on and make sure that I have enough. So here's my little mappy. I know that it is backwards right now, but I'm thinking I'm going to do 250 aerial scales by themselves, and then 100 aerial, 100 mint every other, and then 200 mint, and then 50 mint, 50 pearl every other, and then 150 pearl up at the top. So I need to buy like 700 more scales. I expect this project to probably take me a couple weeks, if not a month. So let's just go on a journey together and see how it turns out. P.S. I learned from the Hawaiian merman that you should use nylon thread, not cotton, because cotton will start to degrade once you put it in the water. So I bought me some nylon thread to go with this. All right, I've got 8 scales sewed on, and I just wanted to show you how I am doing it. So I'm doing 4 scales at a time. That way, if any of them fall off, it's not as big of a repair. I'm doing rows of 4 kind of nested towards each other, at least for now. I am also starting at the bottom of the tail, not the top, and that allows you to layer them and easily access the holes. So yeah. If you can see, I am also going through each hole 2 times so that they're sewn on a little more sturdily. So like up through this hole, down through that one, up through this one, down through that one, and then the next scale. So I finished the first 90-ish scales, and I definitely think I'm going to need more than 900. So I added another 100 to the aerial section and another 100 to the pearl section. Here's what the first 100 looks like compared to the rest of the tail. It's just a little chunk and it is tapered, so it did not go very far, but it is the front and the back. I just got the rest of my scales in the mail today, and I am about to start sewing some more on. I found that the easiest way to sew the scales on is to hold them up at the top of the scale, and then you poke your needle through the back, through the fabric, and then look underneath to see where the hole is. That way you don't dull your needle trying to find the hole, and it's also a lot quicker. All right, I have about 800 of the scales on and 300 left to go. I'm a little bit nervous that I'm not going to have enough. Luckily, I have another extra 50 pearl ones on hand, so I can always throw those on if I need to. But I figured I should do a try on just to make sure things are fitting right and that it's not like taking too much of the stretch out of my tail. So I'm gonna do a midway try on and then finish up. Okay, so even though it was only like 1.5 feet, as you can see, once it's stretched up like over my legs, hold on. I have a lot more to go than just 1 foot. That's probably at least 2 feet. Isn't it so pretty though? Look at the sparkle. It's like a real mermaid tail. Okay, back to sewing. I also wanted to show you I've been going in rows of like 8 to 10 scales ever since I got past the fluke. So I feel like that could be taking a little bit of the stretch out of it. So for the top part, because I feel like that is where it stretches the most for me, I'm probably going to have to do shorter chunks of scales because in between the scales is where your fabric is still going to be able to stretch so it can accommodate your body. I am on the home stretch and I am trying to space my scales out a little bit more so that I have enough to finish the whole thing and I don't have to order another set because I really don't want to wait for them to get here. I just want it to be finished. So some of the scales have only one hole, but it's punched, it's just not punched all the way through. So if you take the other side of your needle, not the sharp end, the other side, you can poke it through and it won't dull your needle. I am separating them into chunks of 4 now and then knotting it off and then starting a new thread. And I feel like that is giving it a little bit more stretch as well as not pulling it quite so tight so that my stitches aren't like super duper tight, but they're still secure, if you know what I mean. Oh, here's hoping. So I have 150 scales left and this is how much I have left to go. So say a prayer that it is enough. I am down to my last 50 scales, which is not going to be enough to finish. However, I do have enough to do 1 more row and then I think I'm gonna do every other one and then just sprinkle some on there, especially because the top is so, I'm gonna fall off the couch. The top is so skinny compared to here. I'm afraid it might be hard to pull it on if I don't have something to grip on. And I feel like the scales are kind of hard to grip and pull. I don't wanna break them off. So I'm gonna see if that looks okay. And if I hate it, then I'll just have to buy more and fill it in. Okay, for my last set of scales, see where there are like little blank spaces here? I'm just filling those in with a Mythic and then I think I'm gonna do one in between and hopefully that'll make it kind of like a blended waist. Okay, so here's how the top turned out. It's a little wonky. Apparently my scaling was crooked. I did my best. What can you do? At this point, I am tired and I just wanna be done. I do think that this ended up being the best option because it left my elastic waistband free to stretch, so I should be able to get it on okay. And I think it's time to try it on. Okay, here goes nothing. All right, I got it on and it is so pretty. Oh my gosh, it makes the weirdest crunching noise. I don't know, can you hear that? Oh my gosh, it sounds like my bones are popping. That is the scales. I hope that's normal. I feel like the blended waist actually turned out really cute. I actually really like that. I think that's really pretty. And I feel like it worked really well because I still have plenty of stretch. Now that I have finished this insane endeavor, I have a few things I learned. I would recommend that if you are going to do this and your tails typically are sized down, that you size up instead, just because the stitching does take away some of the stretch from the tail. So that's one thing. Second, you probably don't need to stack the scales quite as tightly as I did at the bottom of the tail. That'll save you some scales. I did use 1,150 on this tail. This is an extra small tail. So if you're a bigger size, you probably want to get more scales than that. Gosh, it took me probably 17 to 18 hours. For these top ones, I had to tie off each one individually so that I still had that nice stretch where my stomach is. So that took forever. But yeah, all in all, you can make a Mythic hybrid fabric tail with a couple modifications, mainly just making sure you keep your stretch in the top by spacing the scales out or just doing like a blended waist kind of thing. It's gonna take forever, but it's worth it. Would I do it again? Probably not. Hello everyone, so today is the day I am finally going to swim in my Mythic hybrid tail. I can't wait to see what it looks like underwater. Let's go! Oh my goodness, that was so much fun. My tail looked so pretty in the water. I'm so happy with how it turned out. I'm not exactly sure how to dry these things, but since it is not a full Mythic, this is what I did. I just turned it inside out from the fluke really gently, and that way the fabric can dry. I'm not sure how people with real Mythics do it, but if you have any tips, let me know. I only got one loose scale, and because I double stitched them, it did not completely fall off. It's just a little bit loose, so I'll have to repair that, but all in all, very successful tail, very successful first swim. Thanks for watching, everyone. This was quite a journey. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me. I'm happy to help you if you want to make your own Mythic hybrid tail. I think it worked out really well, especially for the price, and it was a lot of work, but it was fun. Bye.